Welcome back, everyone. Cambridge Analytica's use of Facebook data has been questioned. Reports and accounts from former employees of the company say they tried to help former President Goodluck Jonathan to win the 2015 election. Damning reports there, an expose on perhaps how data is being used to manipulate democracies across the globe. Now, concerns about how political campaigns work in the digital age is on the front burner, and that has got our attention tonight. But let's get some clarity and perhaps some more from the man who handled media for the Jonathan campaign at the 2015 general elections, our former Minister for Aviation, Mr. Femi Fani-Kayode. Thank you so much for your time. Just a few more questions before we get some reactions on the program on this matter. You were going to land, and perhaps if you take a few seconds to land on the trajectory you were on before we went on that break.
The line is cutting. I can't hear him.
I was saying that before we went on that break, I had to cut you because we wanted to go on that break. I'll allow you a few seconds to quickly land on that thought so that I can ask you the next question.
All right, thank you very much. What I was saying was that there are deep concerns about other issues in this country. For example, the fact that planes and boats carried the Dapchi girls away from where they lived and brought them back, that is a concern. The fact that, according to reports in the UK, Hilux vehicles are being used to transport Fulani herdsmen to go and kill people in various parts of this country, that is a concern. The fact that General Danjuma has alleged ethnic cleansing and army collusion of the local populations in this country by Fulani herdsmen, that is a concern. The fact that AKPD, David Axelrod's company, was given $10 million at the time of the campaign by the APC at the time to undermine and spread disinformation about the President Goodluck Jonathan presidency, that is a concern. And of course, finally, a big concern is the fact that in Kanu, when the elections took place, according to INEC at the time, 2 million votes were cast. Every single one of them was cast without one exemption. And when the resident electoral commissioner of Kanu State wanted to make noise about it, somehow, somewhere, he got burnt alive together with his whole family in his apartment. These are the concerns and these are the issues of today. President Obasanjo has warned this government. General Danjuma has warned this government. General IBB, that is President Ibrahim Babangida, has warned this government. Bill Gates has warned this government. General Akinri has warned this government. Amnesty International has warned this government. Transparency International has warned this government. The IMF have warned this government. Every single person has warned this government that enough is enough. This is Nigeria. We must get it right. And they are talking about issues of what happened in 2015 and some ridiculous company in London speaking to Israeli agents and asking us questions about whether or not we passed information. The issue of today is the fact that we must get it right. The killing must stop. The government must sit up and do the right thing. And it is incumbent upon each and every one of us to ensure that this government is removed next year because it is a government that has failed in every way.
I will ask you, Mr. Fani-Kayode, because if we could just stay on the issue of tonight, and it's a fact that was a campaign of former President Jonathan in some of the agenda that you set at the time and some of the campaigns that you ruled out at the time, the issues that you raised linked and related to some of these issues raised is raising a lot of concern and a lot of the fact that Nigerians will want to hear the truth from you about some of the sources of your information. You have still not told Nigerians perhaps where you got this information from, especially when Cambridge Analytica employee did say they provided your campaign with some information, especially as it relates to some of the campaign that was used especially in the social media.
I will correct you again, Sheung. Cambridge Analytica did not say they gave the Jonathan campaign organization anything. Neither did they mention the PDP, neither did they mention the name of any PDP member. And I completely reject that assertion and that suggestion. What I'm telling you is that they claimed that an Israeli agent came to them in London. They also claimed that some mysterious friend of Jonathan, who happened to be a billionaire and a Nigerian, gave them or offered them $2 million to hack into President Buhari's personal data. Now, that has nothing to do with us, And we would never do such a thing. Neither did we have to do such a thing.
But are you concerned, Mr. Fani-Kayode, that your principal at the time, which was the former President Jonathan, is being named in all of this, and you are saying that you're not mentioned? If he is named and there are efforts being made, as it's being exposed now, that you perhaps and your campaign had information, are you dispelling such information?
Well, I've dispelled it right from the beginning of this program, and I will repeat to you, and it's important to get this right. The report specifically said that Jonathan was not in the know. And I think it's important for Nigerians to understand that. So there's no good trying to put us on the defensive here. Nobody has alleged anything of the sort. It is in the figment of the imagination of those that are against us that are saying this. Now, we ought not to be on the defensive. It is the government of the day that needs to be on the defensive, and the party of the day, for the atrocious way in which they've handled the affairs of this country over the last 3 years. Divided as a nation. We are divided on religious lines. We are divided on regional lines. We're divided on ethnic lines. And this is the doing of President Muhammadu Buhari. You asked me a question. How did I know? Well, everything that I've said on your program and to the Nigerian people that I said in 2015 about President Buhari, if he were given power, every single one of those things has happened. And I think you will agree with me because you interviewed me a number of times. And I'm saying that we need to focus on this to get this right, to keep Nigeria one, and to keep Nigerians safe. And this government should focus on that rather than following these fairy tale stories and making allegations against the PDP or against President Goodluck Jonathan.
Let's get some reactions to these now. And I have also joining us on the program there in our Abuja studio, the spokesperson of the ruling All Progressives Congress, who was at the time also a member of the campaign organization of President Muhammadu Buhari. Mr. Bolaji Abdullahi joins us from our Abuja studio. Okay, we'll bring him on the program. But before we get him on your screen, let me continue with the conversation with Mr. Fani-Kayode. And it has to do with a video purportedly produced by Cambridge Analytica. And it's about the issues relating to Sharia, which is one of those issues being raised. And I will read some part of this report to you. They did say that it was a voter suppression of the most crude and basic kind. It was targeted at Buhari voters in Buhari regions to basically scare some of them from voting. If you see some of these, are you concerned what the implication of some of these efforts are on our democracy?
Well, again, first of all, if such a thing happened, it's Cambridge Ventures, or whatever they're called, will take full responsibility for it. But if you're talking about the issue of Sharia, as far as we are concerned, this is something that is self-evident, and the president, our president, has said many times before. As far back as 2001, he made it clear that his position was that Sharia should be spread into every part of the country. That raised questions. He also said it didn't matter. Christians should not worry if Muslims chop off their arms, because it is Muslims' arms that are being chopped off, not Christian ones. He also said that Muslims should vote for Muslims and ensure that their interests are protected in the country. He said all these things as far back as 2001. We raised those issues, and of course we still raise those issues about him and what we believe is his Islamization agenda and his Fulani agenda up until today. Now, it may not be popular to say this, but I will say it, and that's what most people are thinking, and it's left to him to dispel those rumors. So whatever Cambridge, whatever the company is called, says or does, that's left to them. They need to defend that. We have nothing to do with that. It's wrong if such things are happening and they're not purveying the truth, because purveyors of falsehood are not acceptable in any civilized society. But those that speak truth and expose truth, even though they are not very well received by people throughout the world, that is what we need to do. And if this company was speaking the truth and exposing things, fine. If they're exposing lies and telling lies, then we would have nothing to do with that.
We take a moment on the program, and when we return, we get reactions to some of this conversation. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back.